Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May God's peace, mercy, and blessing be with all of you. We are excited today to have with us two distinguished guests, the Honorable Vivian Wilhoite, the Assessor of Property for Metro Nashville, who's going to talk more about the tax reassessments that just happened this past few months. And we'll let her go first, and then we'll be talking about Nashville's new budget that was just passed last week with the council member at large, Zulfat Suara. So I want those of you who are watching on Facebook, put your questions in the chat, and on Zoom. If you're here on Zoom, put your questions in the chat, and we've got a lot to cover. And I'm really excited, Ms. Wilhoite, for you coming and speaking to our community today. There's a lot. I got the tax assessment, but honestly, I don't understand how it works and what can you do about it. So I'm all ears. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank, of course, the Honorable Zulfat Suara for inviting me here today. I love this lady right here. Whatever she wants, I support. I can just tell you that right now. She is an excellent leader, awesome planner, and I'm looking forward to joining her in some things that we're working on together, the John Lewis Way Committee. So awesome. I just love her to death. So anytime someone's saying something, I say, I'm going with what she says. I'm doing what she says, and we're going to support what she's doing. So she is a wonderful attribute and asset to our community. And of course, thank you, Sabina.
She says, and we're going to support what she's doing. She's a wonderful attribute and asset to our community.
Moyudeen?
Moyudeen, Sabina right. Moyudeen, correct. Okay, so I'm going to get right into it because I do, I hate that I have another meeting after this because I'm very excited about being able to present to the Muslim Advisory Council and to talk about this very important process in Davidson County's history. Yes, we're going to go straight into our presentation. It's that one right there. And so this is what's going on right now. It is the reappraisal 2021, and it has been really overwhelming, but exciting. And we look forward to it every 4 years. I got people in my office right here that's probably saying, are you crazy? You can't be looking forward to this every 4 years. We do. And we do provide these type of presentations in order to help the Nashville, Davidson County community understand exactly what we're doing. We want the community to trust our product that we provide. As the assessor of property, we don't set the menu, we don't set the price. We just want to be fair, that's all. We want to be fair in providing you with a product that we know that we want you to trust. So the first question you may ask is, why do we reappraise? And the reason why we reappraise is because we've told the state government that we will do our reappraisal every 4 years. Some other counties do theirs every 5 years, some do every 6 years. Davidson County selected every 4 years. The last reappraisal was in 2017. And of course, we're now in 2021 and 4 years later. And then of course, the next reappraisal will be in 2025. When we finish one appraisal, we have to start immediately on the next appraisal. Why? Because we have so many parcels. So in the first year of the 4-year cycle, we spend the visual inspection process looking at all of the 264, not 260 plus. We know exactly what it is, 264, 575 parcels. I think that's the exact number, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yes, and then the 4th year, that's when we establish our value models. We have to calibrate those models and analyze them because we're going to apply them to the more than 850 neighborhoods in Davidson County. Why else do we reappraise? Well, one of the reasons why we also reappraise is that market values do not change uniformly, at least they have not since the last reappraisal in 2017. And when we did the reappraisal in 2017, market values had not changed uniformly since the prior reappraisal in 2013. So we have to do the reappraisal to restore the equity and value with all of the parcels. And without it, what could happen is that someone in a cold and depressed market could pay more than their fair share of taxes. And we do not want that to happen. How do we reappraise? We do not just make up numbers. We do not just give you a number that we just want to stick it to you and make you pay taxes on a value. No way. We have to use accepted practices. We first analyze the sales data in the market, looking at the sales that have occurred. Are they arm's length? Are they sales that's without bias? Then we also do the same thing that a fee appraiser would do, is arrive at value by using the cost approach, the income approach, and the market approach to value. In many of the residential valuations, of course, we use the market approach. We have to also comply with some standards that are nationally recognized. The Uniform Standard of Professional Appraisal Practice, we say USPAP for short. That's a lot to say at one time, but we're also governed by state laws under the State Board of Equalization. Whenever we provide you with your values, such as Sabina, you were stating that you have received your notice in the mail. If you do not appeal that value will be established as of 1/1 of this year. So that is what you will be paying your taxes on, a percentage or a portion of that value. If it's residential, you pay 25% of the value. If it is a commercial property, you pay taxes on 40% of the value. And if you have a business, and there are the items that you use in your business, such as the chairs and the computers and things like that, you will pay then on 30% of the value. This particular example lays out clearly why we are not called the tax assessor. We're called the property assessor, and it's clearly entailed about our functions in the property tax system. You have two sides on the Constitution, in the state Constitution, where it establishes the assessment function and establishes the taxation function. In reference to the assessment function, we, the property assessors, we clearly identify, list, appraise, classify all taxable property to achieve equity and value to prepare the annual assessment roll. Of course, like I stated before, we've already told the state board we're going to do the reappraisal every 4 years. Once we completed our annual assessment roll and prepared it, going through all the hearings, we then send that assessment roll over to the county trustee, which is Erica Gilmore. And there she holds that until the second part of the taxation function is completed, and it has been completed. And of course, Councilor Lady Suara is going to be speaking about that. In the taxation function, that is the authority of the county and city legislative bodies, meaning the city mayor and the legislative body to be the Metro Council. So the mayor presents his annual budget, as he just did not too long ago, back in May. And then, of course, the legislative body, which is Councilor Lady Suara and her colleagues, her other 39 colleagues, they begin to look at that budget and decide if what has been presented is going to be enough to pay the city's bills, to pay, is there enough there to pursue projects, special projects, and to fulfill other type of things and services for, to bring about a better Nashville. From that, there is a tax rate that is set, and the tax rate, once it's decided, it is applied to the annual assessment roll by the county trustee, along with the assessment roll values that we've provided. So as you can see, we do all of the responsibilities listed here of identifying, listing, appraising, and classifying the taxable properties to achieve value and equity and values and fairness, to prepare the annual assessment roll in a timely manner. So we, in essence, do not taxate. We valuate. There's not a word, but we make it a word because it rhymes. So, and it means exactly what we do. We evaluate. We're not the property assessor. We're the tax assessor. And here you can see 3 different classifications, really 6, but 3 different classifications that we provide the values to in the commercial industry, personalty, residential, farm, and industrial as well. Okay, when we give you this value, and I think, Sabina, when you got your value, you probably said, what is going on? This is crazy. My value can't be this much over.
Exactly.
Here. Is that what you said, Sabina? I know that's what you said. I can read your mind.
I couldn't believe it.
But no, truly, we do not do the reappraisal to help local government to raise revenue. When we finish the reappraisal, it's not designed to increase the revenue or to raise money for the city. What keeps that from happening is that immediately when the reappraisal year comes, a certified tax rate is developed. It is It is proposed by the state government and accepted by the mayor. And of course, we offer up information, data, and what have you from our office to help establish that certified tax rate. So the information, lots of the information, basically all the information comes from this office. And as a result, the state government does establishes a certified tax rate, which prevents the local government from getting a windfall in revenue on the existing construction. So in essence, the tax rate must be adjusted, usually downward when values appear to be trending upward or has shown to be trended upward. And that's exactly what happened this year, as happened in 2017. The tax rate is now that has been established is one of the third lowest tax rates in Davidson County history. In 2017, it was the lowest tax rate in Davidson County history. But the primary thing I want you to take from this slide as I'm conveying to you is that the reappraisal is not designed to raise revenue. The tax rate is usually is always adjusted in a reappraisal year, usually downward when values have been trending upward, and it does not allow for additional revenues to be incurred as a result on the existing construction. The city must collect the same amount of revenue as they have done in the previous year. This gives you a great example how the certified tax rate affects the budget in a reappraisal year. Randy Ward, who is now my Deputy Chief of Operations, he's going to talk about the greenhouse, red house, and blue house, and why and how clearly is that the city does not incur additional revenue from existing construction. Here's Randy Ward.
Hello, how's everyone doing? Okay, this is, like Assessor Wilhoite said, this is just an example. We did this about 6 months ago, so we had an example used during the presentations. We are using the correct 2020 tax rate, which was 4.221. In the example, we're saying that the CTR is 3.127, which works for the 35% increase in this example, okay? So that is our median increase in the example is 35%. We have a green, blue, and red house. All were valued at $250,000 for the years 2017 through 2020. 2017 was our previous reappraisal. Your appraisal will remain the same for 4 years as long as you don't make any changes to the property or there's no damage to the property from flooding or fire or anything. So in this example for 2020, the $250,000 value was on all 3 properties. And as you'll see with the 4.221 tax rate, they each paid $2,638, the same exact amount. In the 2021 example, this home went up to $300,000 or 20%. The blue home went up to $337,500 or 35%, which is the median increase in the county. And the red house went up 50% to $375,000. You'll see the taxes that were paid on the green home, $2,345 or $293 less than was paid in 2020 because they were below the countywide median. The blue house went up the countywide median of 35%. So the taxes were exactly the same, $2,638. They paid the same amount in 2020, in 2021 as they did in 2020, even though they did go up 35% because that was the median increase. The red house went up 50% and the taxes went up to $2,931 or $293. A lot of people think as soon as they get their appraisal in the mail, oh, I went up 20%, so I'm going up 20%. That's not the case. As you can see here in 2021, $7,914 collected from all 3 of these, and $7,914 was collected in 2020. The same exact amount. That is what the CTR is intended to do, is to not allow the county to incur any more, to incur a windfall to get any more money from existing construction. If you have any questions later, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you.
Perfect. And you probably are asking the question right now. So where is the city getting their money? Where is the county getting their money? New construction. And it has been pretty steady since the last reappraisal each year of anywhere from 30 million, 29 to 30 million or more, somewhere in that ballpark, from 29 to 31 million in new construction that the city has been receiving in reference to additional revenue. And of course, there are other mechanisms that's also going to the budget for additional revenue. Of course, Council Lady Suara is the best person for that, and she'll talk about that. But nevertheless, this is one of the protection in reference to a reappraisal where windfall is not going to allow the city to have additional revenue from the reappraisal. This is just a summary of the various taxable properties and what we've appraised them at in total from the last reappraisal from 2020. No, excuse me, last year of 2020. Because of course we get new construction every year. So what is it that we know about the 2021 reappraisal? So in the example you just saw a minute ago from Randy, as he was showing to the green house, blue house, and red house, the countywide median appraisal increase is important. The 2021 reappraisal, we observed that the countywide median appraisal increase was 34.05%. So that means that your property value appreciated over the last 4 years since the last reappraisal by a median increase of 34.05%. That's the countywide. Every district in Davidson County for councilman district has a median appraised percentage increase. I do believe that we provided that to you. Am I correct on that, Council Lady? You got the heat map and what have you? Yes. And but this is the overall median appraisal increase. There was a 4.9% increase in new construction. That's real property growth in 2020. Nashville is on fire. It's booming here. The new construction, real property growth is an example of that. When we say the median increase, it's just that. But that means that also some property values did not increase at the medium county, countywide percentage, and some properties increase above the medium county-wide percentage. So it's just that, it is just a median. That the median appraisal percentage increase also represent all property classification, that's residential and commercial. Residential values are strong. The actual increase for residential value is almost right at the countywide median appraisal increase, 33.07%. That's a whopping 33.07%. That tells you that Nashville's residential market is on fire, is hot, people are coming here, wanting to live here, buy here. And we don't really see that it's going to be changing over the next couple of years. We hope not, because we don't want to be upside down in our homes, or we don't want the market to plummet as well. We want national market to stay strong. The commercial sector, like apartment and industrial, they're also doing very well. We did commission a study in reference to understanding better about hotels and retail, because they did not do as well through the 2020 year, going into the of what we observed in the reappraisal for 2021. But still, Nashville itself is doing very good. You probably read in the National Business Journal where there was $69 billion in 20 permits that was record breaking. Well, it's doing it all over again. They've just announced that there was about $6 billion in permits already taken out as we speak. And so that lets you know, Nashville is just booming. I always say that the new city bird is the crane, because it's all the cranes in the air. So we say the new city bird is the crane. You already know that you can appeal your value if you disagree at the informal level. The informal level has passed. We're going to talk about the formal appeals level shortly. The reappraisal in 2017 was, the median increase was 37%. Now that was the largest increase in Davidson County history. And even with that, we look at, we really expected a lot of appeals to occur, and that did not happen because of opportunities like this that Councilmember Suara has provided to us and other community leaders to talk to you about how we arrive at values. What we have found is that it helps to educate the property owner to understand how do we arrive at value and to trust the process, but also understand that they have the right to appeal if they did not, if they disagree with the value that we provided. As a result, even in 2017, when it was the highest median increase of 37%, It was the second highest year for formal appeals. And the reason why we say that is because people understood the process better. This is pretty amazing, the heat map. As you can see in 2017, the heat map, or the hot part of Davidson County, was the center core of the county. The pink and the red and what have you, that's where a lot of the sales were occurring in the county. When we compare that to the 2021 reappraisal year, look what happens. Bam, look at that. It's almost just the opposite of the 2017 reappraisal year. And look where people are, look where all of the sales and the activity in the economy is really happening in Davidson County. It's heading north and south east of Davidson County. And I can bet you that the adjoining counties are feeling the spillover as well. People are moving further out from the center core, looking for more bang for their buck, for the bucks. And as a result of that, you know, they're subdividing property, they're improving property, they're tearing down properties, rebuilding with more improved properties. It's happening all over Davidson County. Even though the northern and southeast portion of Davidson County is a hot area, still all of Davidson County is trending upward in value. So now, your right to appeal. The informal review has passed. So we're going to go through this very quickly on this part because I want you to definitely know about the formal appeals process. That was the opportunity in the informal review for you to share with this office staff of all the appraisers here in my office information about your property we might not be aware of. That's very important. That deadline passed on May 21st at 4 p.m. And we have already provided all of the notifications of our decision by June the 11th date that we self-established as a deadline within ourselves. We, matter of fact, provided the decisions by June the 10th, and they were already available on our website regarding our decisions. So that was good. The best online method was to file your informal review. The best way to file your informal review was online. We experienced a little trouble with that in the last hour on the deadline date, and we'll talk about that later. But still, if a person disagreed with the decision from the informal review, they could file the formal appeal. That's the appeal period that we're in now. That started on May the 24th. That is when property owners could schedule their appeal to the independent Metro Board of Equalizations. Those members are appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the Metro Council members. June 25th, tomorrow by 4 p.m. is the deadline to file a formal appeal. So anyone listening, anyone watching this recording on the Facebook page, know this, that you can still appeal your values, and you will be appealing your value to the independent Metro Board of Equalization. If you do not take that opportunity to appeal your values to the MBOE, you may lose your right to appeal for the 2020 tax year. Now, after the Metro Board of Equalization adjourns, they're going to send you in the mail their decision, and you'll have 45 days yet again to appeal to another state board, another independent board, and that is the State Board of Equalization. If you disagree with the Metro Board of Equalization, you will know that they will definitely set their own time for you to have a hearing before them. So they'll get with you and let you know the date when that will happen. But to make that happen with the State Board of Equalization, you must appeal within the 45 days that the Metro Board of Equalization gives you when they provide you with their decision. Not appealing or not taking advantage of the appealing to the Metro Board of Equalization or the State Board, you can lose your right to appeal for the 2021 year. The good news to know is that you can appeal every year. Davidson County has been extremely resilient in reference to all of the challenges that have come before them, as the property owners have been dealing with so much over the last year. As you know, we started out March 2020 with a bang with the tornado that we still are trying to recover from. We continue to be challenged by the COVID pandemic. And of course, many of us woke up on Christmas Day to the bombing that happened on the 2nd Avenue, historic 2nd Avenue, and all of the occurrence that happened there. And of course, 2021, it looked like it was going to start out being another year like 2020 in reference to different types of events happening with the weather and what have you, with the ice storm that occurred in February, and of course the flooding that occurred in March. There are two state laws that I think is very important that you need to know that helps property owners when it comes to damages to their property. First of all, the Tennessee Code Annotated 675-603, it allows this office and is the property assessor to assess the value of the damaged residential, commercial, or industrial properties based on the condition after the occurrence, provided the property is not restored or replaced by September 1. So what that means is that if your property in the year that you're having, that you experienced the damage from the flood, from any type of fire or tornado, what have you, if your property is not habitable or operative, and that means businesses as well, by September 1, then we have the authority to assess the value of your damaged property, provided the property is not restored by that September 1 date. And then of course, the items that you use in your business, your personalities, that's where 675-606 come into play. When you've had damage to your items that you use in your business operation, we have the authority to prorate the assessment value of your personal property for the portion of the year prior to the date of the destruction or the substantial damage. And we do believe that those are two critical things that you want to know as being property owners, residential and commercial. So what's next? Well, a lot of things that's next is already gone past. On April the 23rd, Sabina and many of you received your market values in the mail, and it was also made available to you online at our website of www.padctn.org. The heat map was released that very same day. You just saw the heat map, and it showed the median percentage increase for both commercial and residential properties. The deadline for the informal review is passed. However, what began on Monday, May the 24th, 2021, will end on tomorrow, Friday, June 25th, 2021, at 4 p.m. is whereas you can still file a formal appeal to the Independent Metro Board of Equalization. Please take advantage of that opportunity if you disagree with your values. And of course, if you are a property owner, you can skip the formal appeal to the Metro Board of Equalization and go straight to the State Board to file your appeal. And you still have to do that by tomorrow by contacting us and letting us know that is what you want to do. You want to skip the Metro Board and go straight to the State Board. And of course, you do have to let us know that by tomorrow, by 4 p.m. Okay, sorry about that. Thank you, Councilman Zulfat Suara and the American Muslim Advisory Council for this opportunity to present to you critical information about reappraisal 2021. And we stand ready to answer your questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Wilhoite. I mean, this was valuable information. I didn't know everything that went into making the assessments and, what rights we actually have in terms of appealing if we don't agree. So
Yes.
I want to make sure before I ask any questions that if anyone on the line or on Facebook has a question, put it in the chat. And please don't hesitate to ask. So if we're waiting for questions, I was going to ask you, because what do you usually see? People, challenging their assessments because they think it's too high, or is it too low?
A little bit of both. I mean, but on the most part, people contact us stating that they believe their value, they disagree, is too high or something. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, Sabina, is that they see that increase and they instantly think, wow, it's increased. Sometimes they see even a $30,000 increase, a $40,000 increase, but it's below the countywide medium percentage increase, which means they're going to most likely be paying less in tax payments. Exactly. And so it gives us an opportunity either way for the property owner to come contact us, questioning their value. It just gives us an opportunity to present to them, how did we arrive at the value? It gives us an opportunity to share with them other critical information, such as the fact that they're less than the countywide average than me. So they're most likely going to pay less. It gives an opportunity to say to them, this is a percentage that says your property appreciated over the last 4 years, not just overnight, not just last year, but over the last 4 years. And to talk about what is put into that process. So we welcome the fact of people, wanting to understand how do we want them to trust the product.
Yeah, I guess people don't understand that just because it increased doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be paying more property taxes next year.
Absolutely. And think of this. You did not buy your home for it to depreciate.
Right.
Your home for it to appreciate. It is one of the biggest investment that you will probably make in your lifetime, whether it's purchasing your home or establishing your business. I tell people, if you have a car in your driveway that's worth more than your home, or maybe your business, you may have some things mixed up in reference to, priorities. But it's one of the biggest increases one of the biggest investment you may make in your lifetime. And it's important that you understand it because you use it as an asset for investment.
And you said that you are able to challenge your assessment in subsequent years. So like if you didn't meet the deadline, you didn't do it this year, you could do it in 2022?
Yes, you can appeal your values every year.
Okay. And those deadlines are I assume, on your website.
Yeah, they would be made available on the website in each year. So, of course, what is May the 25th in 2022? You have to look at the number of days before you move into the formal appeal setting. So, yeah, you make those available.
Yeah.
That.
It may most likely be one less week. We gave an extra week this year.
Okay. Randy has reminded me that we gave one additional week this year. It may be one less week in next year.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that we're not required to do. In some counties, they only give 1 day for the informal appeal.
Oh, wow.
Review. That's correct.
I'm sure computers are crashing there.
Yes, exactly.
Sabina, if there's no
Yeah.
question before Honorable Wilhoite leave, I just want to thank her for being here. I know she said a whole lot in the beginning, and so it's mutual. She's very hardworking, and she does a lot of this everywhere. And I think that educating our populace is very important, and I thank her for always making herself available and for everything that she does. So just wanted to say that before she up off the call.
And I am putting in here the telephone number 662-6059, 615-862-6059 is the call center to file your appeal.
Okay. Well, that's great. This has been absolutely wonderful. Learned a lot of things, and I think we will definitely share this video out with our community because I think a lot of people had questions, and it's important for everyone to know. And thank you again, Ms. Wilhoite, for being here and sharing your expertise. And we'll look forward to bringing you into the community in person one day.
I would love that. I absolutely would love that. And I would love it if I can be with my friend and colleague, Lady Suara. And I mean that. I'm not being pretentious. I mean that. She is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being
May I take a picture?
And I think the world of
sure.
Hi, Randy.
Thank
you. Thanks, Randy.
This is Randy. You've already met him, but also Bill Taylor. He is one of our IT specialists here. May we take a picture, please, Councilwoman?
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Okay, here we go. Okay, snipping tool, and it's going to. There we got it. Thank you.
Thank
We take
you.
pictures of all of our presentations. We appreciate you.
All right.
Thank
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
You too
Have
now.
a good evening.
Yes, absolutely. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was wonderful. I definitely learned a lot of new things. And so now I'm looking forward to our next conversation with the one and only council member at large, Zulfat Suara. Of course, everyone on this line already knows who she is. She's a longtime activist and advocate for our community. And so I think it was just like important to hear firsthand from you about the Nashville's budget, because we hear these things, but hey, you understand our community, what we need to know. And so I think since you've been on the council, I think more of us are more aware of how the council is working, what's going on. But the budget is one of the most important votes that you take on the council. And there's a whole long process. And I don't know, where should we begin? Should we begin with a little bit of the background, how the process you come to this, and how we have a mayor's budget and we have an alternate budget?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for having me. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about the budget. I do want to add something on the assessment before I move on, is that when people do get their bills, not only should they not panic because it went up, because they don't know if they will fall within the median, it's also important for people to understand that you don't pay taxes on your appraised value. You pay taxes on your assessed value. And your assessed value is 1/4 of your appraised value. So when you get your letter and it says your house is now $1 million, you're not going to pay taxes on $1 million. You're only going to pay taxes on $250,000. And I think it's important to also know the difference between that appraised value and the assessed value. And I think that's very important. On the budget, we just finished the budget process, and basically, not to belabor it, the way it goes is that every year the mayor presents his budget. And because it's a governmental budget, it has to show where the money is going to be coming from, and it shows what we're going to spend it on. The mayor presents his budget to the community in his Metro address, present it to council, give it to us to look at. We take a look at it, and the council has the opportunity to vote on the mayor's budget. Now, there is a budget chair who is also in charge of the budget for the council. And sometimes, not every time, you will get the budget chair present what is called a substitute budget. And basically what that is doing is saying that, okay, there's some things in the mayor's budget that I like, I don't like, I want to change. It could be increasing it, it could be decreasing it, it's gone one way or the other. It could be increasing the taxes, reducing the taxes. It could be moving expenses all around. And so the chair presents a substitute budget. Now, there could be other substitute budget by other council members, but the rule is that it's only the mayor's budget or the chair's budget that can be amended. So once the mayor gives his budget and the chair gives his or her substitute, we can go back and say, I want to amend it, I want to change something in it. If another council person who is not the chair submits a substitute, that cannot be amended. So we just have to vote on that up or down. Last year, I believe we have 2 substitute budgets, 3 substitute budgets, as a matter of fact. But this year we do not have, in addition to the chair last year, but this year we only have the chair substitute. So we did not have a multiple of substitute budgets. And then so we go through it, taking this year, for example, the mayor's budget was 2.646 billion. The chair came around and said, look, there's some things that the mayor did not fund that I think are important to be funded, and we can talk about the details of that later. And then the chair decided to add 13 million to the mayor's budget. And so when she presented it, some of the council members had amendments to her budget, and we made some minor tweaks on the floor to amend the chair's budget, and we adopted the chair's budget. So the chair's budget is the budget that we now have, which is the 2.646 plus the 13 million, making 2.659, something around there.
So I want to know, because we just talked to the assessor property, and that most of your money for the budget, for Metro's budget, comes from the property tax. Yes. Is that all of it, or where else does the money come from?
Well, I mean, the main source of money is the property taxes, but we do have loans, we have debts that fund some of the things that we do. This year we have federal government grants. You know, you got the ARP, the CARES, and all of that money that is coming in. That is not in our operating budget, but that's the part of money that funds what Metro does. So that is, but our not our property taxes, but our other taxes. Remember, we have sales tax and we have some other taxes that we pay as well. So the taxes, not just property, but all of our taxes from the bulk of where money comes from.
Okay, so that's good to know. So that's why year to year it can change.
Yes, year to year it does change. And so for the past couple of years, we did not. So you hear the assessor talking about the certified tax rate, and so and that certified tax rate is something that happened every 4 years when we have the assessment, and that goes up and down, right? But once that is set, then in subsequent years, the council does have the opportunity to change the tax rate. But in the last couple of years, we voted not to change the tax rate, to just keep it the way it was and not do anything with it. And we could do that if we have a build up of fund. Unfortunately for Metro, for the last couple of years, we do not have that. So we've been spending all our fund balances. We've been actually getting a lot of debt to get by, because we did not want to increase taxes. Nobody wants to increase taxes. And so we were trying to just get by with, let's not increase taxes. Let's make the people happy. Let's spend the money that we have. And what we ended up doing, just like your personal budget, if you keep digging into your savings account, eventually you're going to run out of savings, and Metro ran out of savings. And so last year we had to increase taxes. And so that's what happened last year. So the tax rate went up last year. So we ended up with a 4.2, $4.222 rates last year. This year, like the assessor was explaining, because of the certified tax rate and the idea that we don't want a windfall, the rate actually went down. And so this year we're ending up with a 3.288. That is the combined tax rate. If you live in the GST, if you live in the general district, you're only going to be, your tax will be 2.95. And if you live in the USD pay additional taxes because they get additional services there. And so that will be the main core. If you live in downtown area and some of those core areas that get a lot of services, trash pickup and things like that, your rate will be the 3.288. But if you live in the general service district, you'll be paying 2.9 rates this year. So that's what we have.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. So another reason not to live downtown.
But then you will miss all the services that comes with it, though. I mean, when you think about it, by the time you pay out of pockets to get those services, get your trash pickup and things like that, you may actually pay more. And I think people have to look at it like that. So I think it's a worthwhile investment. And as I mean, I want more money to the government, so I would not tell you not to. So we need more money for our services.
So let's get into the nitty gritty of this year's budget. And, there's some major items that have to be funded. So let's talk about education. What are we seeing here? So I think when the mayor did the State of Metro address, this was the first year that MNPS got everything that they wanted, right? Or almost?
Almost. Almost. Look, in layman's term, yes, this is the first time we fully fund MNPS. And the mayor's budget had 81 million to MNPS budget, more than what they got last year. And so, yes, the level at which we're supposed to fund them, the minimal, the mayor did that and above. But is that everything that they wanted? No, because the substitute also added to it. And so you have for the first time, our MNPS budget is over $1 billion, which is a lot. And so we're so happy that happened. One of the things that is funded in that budget is the fact that our teachers in the past were not very well paid. Now you have teachers in Metro doing 2-3 jobs. And you have teachers in Metro that are leaving to go to neighboring county to get a job. And so this budget actually makes sure that if I remember correctly, I think now our teachers are now the best paid in the state. because we want to keep the value. We want to, you want to invest in our children. And one of the investment in our children and the people that are staying with our children 8 hours a day that are teaching them. And so we want that. And so this budget actually does that. But the mayor's budget was missing a couple of things. And so what the chair did was add, and I'll give you some of the things that was added. And so the mayor's budget, for the first time, funded what we call advocacy center. There is a push, and we should all be doing that, to look at the social emotional learning of our kids, because you have to look at everything that these children are going through and look for ways to build up their self-esteem, which will help them to learn more, and then the performance will improve. And so this advocacy center are in kindergarten, and it's a place to be able to help children with their social emotional learning. But in looking at the budget in details, we find out that we have, and I always mix the number up, we have 72 elementary schools, but the mayor's budget only funded 55 advocacy centers. And the question is, why are we doing 55?
Yeah.
This is something that is needed. We need to make sure that we put it in every school. So the chair's budget added 1.2 million to make sure that every elementary school now has an advocacy center. The other thing that the chair budget also did was that we have support staff, non-teachers, that miss payment for about 7 days in a year. That is when there's in-service days, when teachers have to go in and do training and do things like that. Because they're not teachers, they don't go for those in-service training. And because they're also paid hourly, then they don't get paid for those 7 days. And so what this is doing is not just to pay them, but also to make sure they get the training. So what we're saying is, especially when you're talking about social emotional learning, you're giving the teachers the training, you're talking about how do you deal with kids in the classroom, but what about the substitute that is going to come after the teacher?
Yeah.
They need those training as well. And we want to make sure that everyone dealing with our children gets the training that they need. So this budget, the chair substitute added a 1.4 million into the budget to be able to make sure that those 7 days is paid to our support staff. And I think there's also another one that we added, that we increased the student to counselor ratio. So those are very important things. And when you look at those things we're talking about, let's make sure that, and our school budget is our biggest part of our budget to start with. And it's the best thing we can invest in. We're talking about our children. Everything else that you can do as a city, as a community, has to do with education. And I think it's important that we cover all of that. So very excited. I think our school ended up with a billion and 14 million, I believe, is the mayor's budget. And now it's now 1,017 million, which we're just so excited that we were able to do that.
Yeah, and so was some of the money from the CARES Act?
So yes, there will be other money that they will be the school is getting from the CARES Act. Now we're just talking about what they'll be getting from Metro.
Oh, okay, so that's separate.
So this is separate. So they will be getting some other CARES Act money, and they will be using some of the CARES Act money, because that was one of the questions that I had, in that we're looking at elementary school for social emotional learning. We're doing this advocacy centers. What about middle school? What about high school?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we need to look at all of the schools. So the response from the school is that we have some of the CARES Act money and some of the funding that we're going to use to do that at least this year. And then next year we can look at whether Metro needs to put that in the budget. I do want to say that it's important, as we talk about this investment in schools and being able to add money. The two items that I described to you, the three for the schools, was on my wish list as a council member. And I serve as the budget chair for the Minority Caucus, and it was on our wish list that we submitted to the budget chair and said we would like to see this added. And it's very important, but we were able to do that because we have money. Last year, or the previous years, we couldn't, because there was no money. We were in a bind. And so I say all of that to say that this budget is an investment that we couldn't have done if we did not raise the taxes last year. And I know that that's something we're going to have to talk about later, but I think it's important for people to know that the government does not have anywhere to get money except through taxes. But when the government does raise those taxes, those money ended up going back into the community and being reinvested into the community.
So it's an investment we're making for our future,
an
for
investment.
Nashville's future.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am. It is investment worth making. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I'm sure if MNPS didn't think there were any limits, they would have had more things on their wish list. But
They did.
I think, and I know like AMAC has worked very closely with NOAA and wanting those advocacy centers in the elementary schools. So we were very pleased that came about, and hopefully that's a step forward in getting more in the middle and high schools in the future. So and we have to pay attention that next year things aren't cut back. So whatever we started this year, we certainly want to continue, because
Yes.
that's how it's going to succeed, any new programs. So
Yes.
but I hope, education is, they're taking the right step forward for our kids, especially after such a hard year with COVID and being at home. So so let's go on to public safety. Where do we where do we stand there?
So, public safety is an interesting one, and it is important to know that when we talk about public safety, we are talking about the police, we're talking about the fire, we're talking about the court system, and all of that. So, this year's budget actually have, I believe, 11 million increase to the police department budget, and I think that created a lot of uproar. There's a lot of conversation in the community. But the increase in the police budget from the metro standpoint was because there's a new precinct that is being built in Antioch. And so to be able to build the precinct, people from Southeast complain that they do need more police. And that's why the conversation about public safety it's a very difficult one. Especially for me as an at-large council member, listening to different parts of the community. Yes, it is true that we do need to look into funding of the police. We do need to look into whether there's some services that the police is doing that we don't need to put there, which we did do this year, and I'll talk about that. But in terms of what the community wants, a precinct in Antioch Southeast is something that has been asked for many years. And so finally, it is in the budget. And so that increase that you see relates mostly to that precinct. But something else that we did do this year, which is awesome, is that, and the police department do agree that, there are some things the police should not be doing. Mental health, for example, when you call out, when somebody has a crisis, we put a lot of people in jail that do not need to be in jail. We prosecute people that do not need to be prosecuted. As an African-American person, I will tell you that, yes, there are a lot of Black people in jails, and we don't need any more jails. And we cannot, arrest everybody out of this situation. So what do we need to start doing differently? So one of the things that we did this year is that there is an amount in the budget that actually allows for the police department to partner with a mental health organization, so that when they do go out call, you now have a psychologist or mental health professional. I don't know if the term is a psychologist, but you have a counselor or mental health person that actually goes out with the police department. And so that way they can de-escalate the situation. It is important to also know for our community that we were looking at two programs. One is a co-op or co-response, where you have both of them going. And then you have another project, which is what Noah was suggesting, where it's not involving the police.
Yeah.
Because you do have a group of people that when they do see the police, it escalates the situation.
Absolutely.
And so we tried to fund both of them this year, but we were not able to because we need a partner to be able to run both programs. And we're only able to find someone to run one. And the agency is not able to run both. And so what we agreed to do is we'll start with the core response this year and see where that goes. And hopefully next year, a lot of us are interested in adding the ILS model to the budget next year as well.
Wow. And so I mean, and this is where us as community members and different organizations getting together, advocating and finding
Yes.
solutions
Yes.
before
Yes.
before you're voting out a budget next year, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
I think it's very important for everyone to know, and this came out also in our conversation. I told you that the mayor had 2.646, right?
Mhm.
But the chair is only able to add 13 million to it. And from what I think it was Councilmember Mendes, who's been on the council for a long time and who was budget chair last year, from what he said is that historically, the council has not been able to make much changes to the mayor's budget. And so we're looking about a 1 or 2% change, which is not a whole lot. And so if you really want that change, if you really want to change how it is budgeted, will you start with the mayor's office? And you start the conversation way before the budget is happened, because at the time that the budget is presented, that we have to pass it by June, the department have already made plans, they've already got it in place, and truth be told, there's a small windows to what we can do. I think we all need to be rethinking how we do that. I will give props to our budget chairs this year. They did a lot of conversation. They did a lot of education before the budget. And I think a lot of people know more about it now. And so we just need to build on that and start the process a whole lot sooner. But I will say that, yes, we do need to look into that. And for people that think that, no, don't give more money to the police because we need to put some things in the police, do know that there are people on the other side that are saying that we're the ones that are being shot at, with the ones that need more police. And so trying to balance that, it's a tough one.
yeah, so I mean, that's a good reminder that we have to be involved long before the budget process.
We have to be involved, and we have to educate, our community to be able to see what it is that we're talking about. I think it's important that people understand on both sides. On one side, I do think that people need to understand that defunding the police does not necessarily mean cancel the police department. It's realigning and reimagining what the police department control, what falls under the police department. Do we need to have mental health under the police department? I don't think we do. Do we need to do some things? I don't think we do. There's some things that we can reshuffle or reimagine. That's one thing. But I also think that on the other side, for people that says, give us more police, it's a conversation to be had. What do we need to do? We are spending money on a lot of policing and jailing. What are we doing in investing in education, in preventive stuff, in making sure that kids don't go to jail? What are we doing engaging these children outside of that? Those are the kind of things that we need to do. And so there's a whole lot of conversation to be had, but you cannot just say, no, we don't want police today. It doesn't work like that. Because
so it's kind of the push and pull, like, it's not that we don't want more policing, we want more resources.
More resources.
Right? That
yes.
Resources that would, because well-resourced communities
would not need police.
Would have less crimes because they have their needs met. But then it ties in with the social emotional learning and at schools and the advocacy centers. So it's all intertwined, and you have to look at the whole picture.
It is. And that's what we need to start doing, investing in those things, making sure that we're doing all of that. And I think, and again, starting the conversation a lot early, and engaging our community as well. And so when we say, let's put money in social emotional learning, the community should understand that it's important, because that's what decreased the crime rate, so that you don't need to have the police. But you have to get people to know that that's how that works. Right. We have a lot of work to do. We'll have a lot of educating our community and everyone to be able to know this is where we need to go, this is what we want to do. And the police will tell you that they don't want to, they're trying to do some things in the community now. They're trying to have officers go in and get to know the community and all of that. They want to do a community center. All that is good, fine. But do we need all of that, or do we need something else? Those are the larger conversations. But for now, with what we have, that's what we need to, the chief has, and I will say this, Chief Drake has about 3 or 4 things that is planned, that I think that he wants to shift the focus of the police department in how policing is done in Metro. And he has some really good idea that I think that we will see play out this year and see how all of that go. And the mental health, right, I think is one of that. And I think that would help a lot. And so we just need to see that.
We got to pay attention.
And we
So,
gotta pay
so
attention.
there was a lot of things in the budget, but the third big thing was affordable housing. So we talked about how much our property assessments have gone up and how hard it is to buy or even rent a place within Davidson County, and how can you work and live here? And so what does the budget do for that?
So this year budget had only 12.5 million to affordable housing. Last year was 10 million. But 12.5 is what the mayor's put in specifically to go to the bonds fund. But in all, we have about 30 million to spend on affordable housing this year.
Can you explain what the Barnes Fund is for everyone?
So bonds fund is our housing fund where we actually partner with non-for-profit organization to provide affordable housing. And so basically what we will do is we will give them some incentive monetary for them to be able to build so many or X number of projects. And so it's one of the tools that we use for affordable housing. We have a whole lot of different other stuff that we use, but Bonds Fund is one of our housing fund, and they work with non-for-profit, only non-for-profit developers to be able to do that housing in our community. And so, but in addition to the 12.5, the mayor is also using part of the CARES money or ARP money to put an additional 10 million into bonds, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be another 10 million that's going to be for a catalyst fund. And that's one of the recommendations of the housing fund task force, that we need like a fund for rapid, there's a tornado, there's something, we need to do something with housing. Mm-hmm. We need to buy something quickly. That's what the catalyst fund will do. We're also increasing the number of staff that deals with housing from 2. We're adding 2 additional staff members. The mayor is also there's a piece of land in North Nashville that the mayor wants to put up for affordable housing development in North Nashville. And we're also starting a pilot. We have a pilot for housing. Pilot is the same thing, it's a payment in lieu of taxes. So you build a property in affordable housing, and then we don't collect taxes from you for a number of years, for about 10 years. And so basically that's what that is. But right now the pilot that we have only works with non-for-profit. And so the idea is, how do we expand? Because look, you said it, there's problem of affordable housing in Nashville. When I think about it, it almost makes me want to cry. You hear stories about, in one day, I had 4 stories. There was an individual that was trying to buy a house, look for so many, every time he gets it, somebody comes and outbid them. And people have been paying 20,000, 25,000, 50,000 more offer on a house so they can get it. You have people from California and New York have had those calls 2 or 3 times where somebody would just call me and say, can we buy your house? We don't even have to see it. It's cash on, like we just make you an offer like, I'm not selling my house, And so those are the things that we have. And then you have people that are renting. So if you're a landlord, you have your home that you're living in, but you have another home that you're renting out. Somebody calls you out of the blue. I can't sell the house that I live in, but if I have a rental property, if they make me the offer, then I'll sell it and kick out my renters. And so it's just so compounded. And so it's something that we really do need to find a lot of solution to. And so that 30 million this year is really going to help a lot. So the pilot is going to be for profit developers so that they can get into the house building business and we can have more. I have a bill that I'm sponsoring that will be on 3rd reading at the next meeting. And I talked to the housing fund about it, met with them yesterday. And this one is one that I'm actually asking that for every money that we put into housing or to bonds fund, that we actually AMAC 20% to go into smaller developers. We want to make sure we have so many people that are building. And for small businesses, it's very difficult to get into the affordable housing thing. And so you could do a capacity building for them, help them learn how to do this. That way, so we're trying everything that we can. You can look at the task force recommendations. some of what we said, about 5 of them is on the mayor's Metro address already. And so all of that, I think we need more money. 30 million is not enough, trust me. But at least it's better than the 10 that we had last year.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when we talk about Nashville being a welcoming city, right? But it doesn't become very welcoming if you're doing the work, the hard labor in the city, but you can't live in the city.
Yeah, it is very sad. It is, and it is coming to that. And when you think about people being displaced, think about it this way. You know, think about people with children, that their children goes to school in that neighborhood, but now they have to move 30, 45 minutes away. Our transportation is not where it needs to be, right? And then so now they cannot bring their kids to school, so they have to change school. Think about that kid who is now the new kid in a new school. I mean, it's a lot that goes into it. And so, but we're doing all that we can. We're trying to encourage developers to do mixed income housing. We're trying to encourage people to go. MDH it's not just us, you know, there's federal funding, Section 8. There's so many things that is out there that we're trying to get people to be aware of and to be able to use. But it's a lot. It's a lot. But we're working on it, and we will continue to work on it.
So it's past 7 o'clock, and I want to just give you the opportunity to, is there anything important that we didn't cover, any funding that you think people should know about, anything about the budget process, anything Zulfat wants to tell the world?
If you work for Metro, you got a step increase, which is good. I think the most important thing that I want everyone to know is that knowledge is power. And being able to know what's going on is very important. We do not know everything, and we do not know everything that is happening. So we rely on our constituents to be able to talk to us, to be able to engage with us. I have a Facebook thing that I do every budget season. We actually break down the budget and invite people. And so I ask people to tune in. I'm going to have one this Saturday on participatory budgeting. Well, and that's something else that there are 2 things actually in this budget that I want to mention real quick. We have a 1 million for a project that is supposed to look at crime in the community, but it's not the police that will be doing this, right? So it's for like an organization like Gideon's Army that actually is like alternative. So we call it the Cure Violence in North Nashville. There's $1 million in the budget that we look into that we're looking to having an organization under the police look into our community, see what we can do to reduce violence. I think that's major. There's a $2 million in the capital funding budget that is actually a participatory budget that actually is going to ask for information from the community on how do you want to spend this $2 million. So I'll be talking about that on Saturday. The pilot is for North Nashville right now. But hopefully if it's successful, we'll be able to do it in another part of the city. And so that will be my budget conversation for this Saturday. But people should sign on to my newsletter. They can read all the blog. Every blog that I do is on there. They can follow me on social media. But please do know that we work for you and we want to hear from you. And even though it's Sister Zulfat, you're still my constituents. And so you have the right to be able to email me and ask me questions, and do the same for all of your council members. We do want to hear from you. You have to be engaged. You have to be involved. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, well, I will testify to her her budget webinars. They are so informative. So you can go to Zulfat's Facebook page and it's council member Zulfat Suara, and you can find all those webinars, budget hearing webinars that she did. And then I put in the chat her blog. It has even more information. I don't know where you get time to do all this, but it is so informative. I mean, this is our opportunity to pay attention to what is going on in the city we live in. And it's our responsibility to know what's going on and speak up about issues, not after things are passed, complaining about things, but as policy is being formed, learn about it and put in our 2 cents, you know? And so AMAC, we are planning to have meetings with community members and their council members. So I think it's important to know who they are. Once you meet them, you find out every one of them is very friendly. They're all ears. They want to hear from you. But sometimes I know if you haven't met them, you're a little hesitant to reach out. But this is our opportunity to speak up and have our voices heard. So much goes behind the budget. So much is going on. I don't know how you possibly keep up with everything. But I want to thank you, Zulfat, for, you know, not just for being here today, but your service to the community, to Muslim community, but to the Nashville, city of Nashville, and what you do. All we do is hear praises, but we know you as our friend. So thank you so much. And we're going to have you here on a regular basis, okay?
Yes, let's do that. Let's do that. I think I want to do that, and I want people to send their questions or be ready so that the update is our community is just getting ready to be civically engaged, voting and things like that. We want to keep it going, but we want to be an informed community. And so yes, anytime you want me, I'll be there, and I can hear all the plates in the background, so it looks as if dinner will be served. That works too. I'll be there.
Always down for some free food. So
yes, some free food. Hey, put in the food and shoo. You got me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for being here today. You can share the video, and I will have a recording of it on our YouTube channel. And again, if you missed the first half, Ms. Wilhoite, the assessor of property, talked about property assessments, and that tomorrow is the deadline if you want to challenge the assessment. And that I think she gave the phone number, Vivian Wilhoite. The phone number is there, 615-862-6059. You can call that by 4 o'clock tomorrow if you want to challenge your property assessment. So again, thank you and good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all.
Alaikum salam. Thank you. Salam.